Hello, everyone. Today I'm going to share with you a story from my childhood that has always kept me up at night. This is one of those stories that if it weren't true, I wouldn't believe it myself. When I first heard it, I was skeptical, but when all of the details lined up perfectly, I had no choice but to accept the reality of what had happened. It was an experience that left me shaken and questioning the very nature of fate and destiny. I never shared this story before because I didn't want to be judged or ridiculed for believing in such things. But today I feel like I need to let it out, so here goes. It all started when I was 8 years old and living in a small house in the countryside with my parents and younger sister. We were a close-knit family, and our home was filled with love and laughter. One day while exploring the attic, I stumbled upon a dusty old diary hidden in a corner. Curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to sneak peek inside. What I found was beyond my wildest imagination. The diary was filled with detailed accounts of strange occurrences, eerie premonitions, and unsettling predictions about the future. It spoke of a young girl who was experiencing terrifying events that seemed to foreshadow my own life. As I delved deeper into the diary, I couldn't shake off the feeling that I was reading about myself. The entries were dated, and as I turned through the brittle pages, I realized that they were happening in real time. Every entry predicted something that happened in my life within a week. I was astounded and terrified. First, I thought it was just a coincidence. But as the weeks went by, the diary's predictions became more accurate and disturbing.
Ow.
It was as though someone was watching my every move, recording every detail of my life in this mysterious book. One entry in particular stood out. The diary spoke of a tragic accident that would take the life of someone I loved. The words were so vivid and the description of the accident was so graphic that I could unhelp but feel a sense of foreboding. I tried to dismiss it as just another crazy entry in a book full of them. But as the days passed, my anxiety grew. Then one fateful day, my worst fears were confirmed. The diary had predicted the death of my father, and I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw the newspaper article detailing the car accident that had taken his life. It was the same accident that was described in the diary down to the smallest detail. I was devastated and confused. How could a book written years ago predict my father's death so accurately? As I struggled to cope with the loss of my dad, I couldn't help but feel that the diary was to blame. I hated the book for being so accurate, for being so precise in its predictions. I felt like it was mocking me, like it knew my pain and was reveling in it. Could have predicted these events. Was it a miracle, a coincidence, or something else entirely? My mother, bless her soul, tried her best to support me during this difficult time. She understood how close I was to my dad, and she knew that I needed someone to lean on. But even she was baffled by the diary's predictions. She had no answers for me. As the weeks turned into months, the mystery of the diary only grew. It wasn't just the prediction of my father's death that bothered me. The diary had also made other predictions that had come true. It had predicted the loss of my favorite pet, the breakup of my parents' marriage, and even the sudden illness of my grandmother. All of these events had been accurately described in the diary, and I couldn't help but wonder what else did it know. As I continued to read the diary, I discovered more and more disturbing entries that had already come true. It was as though the author of the diary was a clairvoyant, able to see into the future and record the events that would unfold. I felt like I was losing my mind. How could this be possible? The more I learned, the more I became convinced that the diary was not just a random book. It was a powerful artifact that had the ability to predict the future. I couldn't understand how or why, but I knew that it was no coincidence. As I continued to explore the attic, I came across more and more evidence that pointed to the diary's supernatural origins. I found old books on witchcraft and black magic, as well as strange symbols and diagrams that I couldn't make sense of. It was as though the attic itself was hiding secrets that were meant to be buried in the past. With each passing day, the diary's influence over me grew stronger. I couldn't stop thinking about its predictions and the accuracy of its descriptions. I was desperate to find answers, to understand the nature of this book and its connection to my life. As I delved deeper into the mystery, I uncovered more about the history of the house and the people who had lived there in the past. I learned that the house had once belonged to a powerful witch who was feared by the townspeople, and as I explored further, I uncovered more evidence of her dark legacy. With each new discovery, I felt like I was getting closer to understanding the diary's origins. But as I neared the truth, I also put myself in danger. The forces that controlled the diary were powerful, and they were not happy that I was meddling in their affairs. As the story reached its climax, I was forced to confront the dark forces that had been controlling my life. With the help of my mother and a few close friends, I was able to break the curse that had been cast upon me and my family. In the end, I emerged from the ordeal with a newfound strength and wisdom. I had faced the darkness within me and emerged victorious. I knew that the diary was gone for good and that I would never have to worry about its predictions again. But the experience had changed me forever. I was no longer the same person who had stumbled upon that dusty old book in the attic. I had faced my fears and conquered them, and I knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, I would be ready for them. The diary had been a test of my courage, a challenge that I had not realized I was facing at the time. But in the end, I had emerged victorious. I had learned that even in the darkest of times, hope can prevail, and that even the most terrifying of fears can be overcome. As I look back on my childhood experience, I can't help but feel a sense of gratitude. The diary may have been a curse, but it also taught me valuable lessons about life, death, and the power of the human spirit. I will never forget the challenges I've faced, but I am grateful for the strength and wisdom I gained along the way. And now I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced something similar? Do you believe in fate and destiny? Let me know in the comments below. And if you liked this story, don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.